Hello, Jack. Just want to respond to your video, the quest1234 question. I know Quest talks a lot about Jews and Jewish conspiracies. I'm not going to really get into what he talks about, but I'm just going to get to your point that you feel that some, I feel, I'm not sure if you're totally jesting, but you feel that some of these extremists may be infiltrators, FBI agents, possibly Mossad intelligence. If they are, I think it's a tiny minority, and I don't feel that many of the people, maybe the ones that are acting redneckish, using the word nigger, faggot, and kike in their sentences without any participation in the discussion. Maybe those guys, but I do feel that Kobe Daggett, quest1234, RV, those guys are serious white nationalists. And I would put Kobe Daggett not only as a white nationalist necessarily, I wouldn't even call him a white nationalist. I would call him a white supremacist. And then yes, they obviously overlap. There are many white nationalists that are white supremacists, but I think that people like a Kobe Daggett, especially dysgenic, are far more oriented toward a white supremacy, and I do believe that every inch of what they're saying they sincerely believe. I don't believe that these people are FBI infiltrators. You just listen to how they talk. They understand many they have strong knowledge of vocabulary, basic understanding of evolution, basic understanding of history. Let me retract. The basic understanding of how to argue a historical perspective. I don't want to overrate Kobe Daggett being a genius or being, someone that is Einstein or a historical scholar, but I will say that Kobe Daggett clearly has the ability to write his slant of white supremacy within a historical perspective and have understanding of historical concepts. That is not to say that Kobe Daggett is a historical scholar by any means, or Kobe Daggett is not a redneck. What I am saying is that Kobe Daggett is a redneck who has mastered some of the concepts of evolution. He understands what evolution is, understands what the Ice Age is, global warming, and the history, and he has a way of skewing those facts, not necessarily intentionally in terms of trying to make himself look great, but skewing those facts based upon his view, his practical view of black people, which he calls negroids, and white people. Kobe Daggett was probably schooled in white supremacy, that version of white supremacy that has been attempted to be proven in science, and he's not the only one. He's basically going back to the classic white supremacist. Their views of Africans, their views of Asians, their views of Arabs. He's using those scholarly works, and he's trying to defend that viewpoint. Now, obviously, he's a redneck. Obviously, he's a hillbilly. I've read his comments about how he views black people outside of this board, this hate and flame board. He's brutally redneck and brutally racist. This man does not have any respect for black people. But he says it's scientifically justified because he has a higher evolutionary chain. He's basically saying that for you to tell me to respect a black person is like to make the analogy, is for a quote-unquote black person to respect an ape, and in terms of seeing them as equal or the same same species. Obviously, we know that that type of theory is wrong. But I think it's a mistake to think that people like there are not outlandish people in the science world, and Copenhagen is not necessarily in the science world. He's more in the white supremacist. He's more into history skewed in a white supremacist viewpoint, evolutionary theory skewed in a white supremacist viewpoint, and he calls that objective fact. Okay, so he he's different from the religious white supremacist who says that blacks are a curse from Ham, and they are being punished by God to be uncivilized and inferior to whites because they are not Christians. He basically comes at it from a totally scientific standpoint that blacks have not evolved because they existed in a hot climate, and therefore their brain size has not increased to the capacity of whites, especially white Western whites in Europe. That is the new religion. That is now the new ideology of white supremacy. It's not the new ideology, but he wants to reclaim that, because back in the 1800s there has been this type of science. So he's reintroducing it. He's not introducing it as myth. He's introducing it as facts, quote unquote fact. And he says it with an arrogance. He says this is true. It's the reason why black people cannot or reject it is because it makes them look bad. Their idealism of being equal to whites or having the same intellectual capacity is now shattered. But he does not care because he believes what he is saying is true. He absolutely believes it. I have no doubt about it. When he uses words Negroid and when he degrades blacks, he feels that he feels that reinforces his belief. Now again, is a Copenhagen? I mean, we can't put a Copenhagen in the same sentence as some of these other white nationalists or white supremacists who use the word nigger in every sentence, and black people stink, and black people are bad people, niggers are bad people. They use those type of comments. He uses science through a white supremacist ideology, okay, through evolutionary, a pseudoscience of evolutionary theory, to present his case of white supremacy as scientific fact, not as religious fact. Because say religious, the white supremacists know that the certain white supremacists, atheistic white supremacists, know that white supremacy in religion, according to Christian doctrine, is laughable. Since they know that it is laughable, they use something that will be more accepted, science, which is quote unquote absolutely objective. So in their mind, they have presented a fact now because they've used quote unquote science. What they fail to realize is that they've used quasi-science and partial science, and not total objectivity. So I just believe that these guys are very sincere in what they believe in. And I'm about to shut up because I'm about to run out of time. Bye. Bye-bye, Jack.